Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do an in-depth review of one of the books I had listed as a resource to use for a kindergarten first grade phonics reading curriculum. And the one I'm going to do today is Generations Phonics and Letters and Sounds. So, when I first got this curriculum, I first bought the phonics curriculum, and then I went ahead and got level K. Did I like this when I first got it? No. I flipped through it and I was like, this is not going to work. But then I decided to get to the kindergarten one. And did I like it when I first flipped through? No, I was a little confused. But then I figured out how to use them together. And I will show you how I use them together and how I actually really like it now. So it's a Christian curriculum. Each lesson is just about 15 minutes long. It is colorful. It's colorful, but yet it is straight to the point. It focuses on phonics. It has some reading within the books, no teacher guide needed. It does cover some grammar in the volume 1 book. It's mastery, and it goes by like word families when you're learning the CVCs. So like an, am, ip, those, just like BGU Press and Hooked on Phonics does. It's not sight word focused. So I'm going to turn around the camera and do an actual flip through, and I will go through the pros and the cons, the good, the beautiful, and the ugly. And really, I hope this will help you see how much Bible verses it actually does have in the curriculum if you are looking for a Bible-based phonics reading program that goes through, I'm going to say, pre-K through 2nd grade. And I will show you why. All right. So before we start the flip through, I do want to let you know that they have a letter K, my first Letters and Sounds. They have a volume 1 of Generations Phonics, and there's actually a volume 2 of Generations Phonics that I don't have, just because I know that my son was kind of not ready for that, and I didn't want to buy it just yet. But this Generations Phonics 1 volume goes through a lot, and I'll show you. Okay, so this says level K, and this, they have it for 1st grade, but I would not pay attention to that, and I'll show you why. It's more about content. Okay, so this Letters and Sounds is exactly what it says. It does have what it will be covering in each lesson, what letters, and it says sounds because it does go into long vowel sounds and consonant blends. So I have a couple pages torn out, but you'll get the gist. All right, so there's no teacher's guide needed in this, and so therefore it's an easy, straightforward curriculum. You can just sit down and start going over with them. It'll go over all the letters. I did this letter part. My girl was almost 4, kind of 3, so that's one reason why it's scribbled, but she wanted to do something that her older brother was doing, and her older brother was actually getting into the stuff, the phonics back here, and he didn't need this, and so why not? She could go ahead and learn her letters. There is some tracing. I like that. And coloring, colorful, beautiful pictures. So, you know, a lot of times when you have a curriculum that is straightforward, it's typically black and white. but sometimes the kids can get tired of that. All right, so then you get to Z, and then they start doing, instead of just letter recognition, then they actually start doing the sound of the letter. And whenever they do the sound of the letter now, they include Bible verse with each letter, which is really great. Okay, so this one, I'm not sure why they said U is for ugly. Maybe they could have thought of a different word, but I understand ugly is in this Bible verse. So they have to circle all the U's in this passage, and the only thing is not like all the U's are making the short sound. So it's just kind of finding them and seeing what they look like. Same for these words down here. It's just kind of tracing them and realizing the sound, not necessarily really having to read these words, which is okay. Just recognizing the sound and thinking of other words that make the sound. You know, whenever you are teaching a sound of a letter, you're always going to want to start off not showing them the letter first, not showing them the book first, but having them recognize the sound and words, and then you show them, hey, this is what the sound looks like for the most part. So great, it has the Bible verses, and color the picture that starts with P, circle the word that starts with P. So if they have made it but here, they should definitely be getting to know their letters, capital and lowercase. And so now you're at lesson 63, and you're starting to do the long A sound. That is where you're like thinking, okay, we haven't even learned how to read short 3-letter word sounds, and now we're doing the long A sound. So I will show you now. We're going to come to generations, phonics generations, and show you where I go from here. I pause right here in this book, Letters and Sounds, and we go to Generations Phonics. And here is the what it's going to cover. They're going to go over letters, and they're going to introduce how to read now the short 3-letter words. It's not sight word heavy, as you can see. They're only going to learn was when you're learning the W, is, the, and, of, and no. All right. And this actually has Generations Phonics Volume 2. It has what you're going to learn in the Volume 2. So even though I don't have that book yet, I know what will be covered. And also, if you're not familiar with Generations curriculum, they have a reading called God's Big Story book to go along with when you start the Phonics Volume 2, then you start reading the God's Big Story Level 1 book, as they don't have any readers to go along with this book. As I will show you, they have the stories kind of in this book to go along with it. So they don't have any little readers, but then once you kind of get to the end, then they have their reading of the Bible written in first grade reading level, or I say second grade. Okay, so let's continue and flip through. So here they have A and sound recognition of the A. They have optional writing practice. The only thing is, I like that. Copy work and writing practice has definitely been very beneficial in this family, but I wish that it would have done dotted lines, because at this level, it's hard for them to just kind of freehand it. They include like some Bible pictures in here. They introduce the letters and learning how to read with the easiest sounding out letters first. So here we're at M, and then they're already learning Sam. I am Sam. They should already be able to read that with the 3 letters that they introduced, which is good. Here's some optional writing practice, which is really, really great. You could kind of give it for morning work maybe. We do a separate handwriting curriculum, but I wouldn't worry about handwriting. I would just worry about copy work there. Okay, so as you can see, they are learning short A vowel words. Alrighty, there's some little practice things, and let's read the sentence. Very short, easy to do, not overwhelming. There's not too much on the page. They have how quickly can you read this. Some kids like to be timed, some kids don't like to be timed, but they kind of, if your kid needs some motivation, they give some motivation to read those words. Here's another one. How quickly can you read this before it blows up? Like I said, they do introduce some grammar. So a dot is called a period. And so you can start learning that. Everything is, now you're at W. Beautiful pictures. It's kind of like how you can sit on the couch and the kid will be interested to go over the book. So now we're doing short O words. So my one con is I do think your kids are going to need more practice than this gives just inside the book. But it's really easy. I use Adventure in Phonics to go along with this, or you can use Explode the Code, or you can just get a cheap little book off of Amazon and or do your own copy work. For some extra practice. I think my child was fine going through this. It was fine. It was an okay pace. If your child picks up things quickly, then basically any curriculum will work. Oh, I did want to show you here my first Bible verses. They get into actually reading Bible verses. God is wise. So the only thing I say about that is there are some like wise. They have not learned the long I sound yet. So you can just read the wise part, but they should learn God is already. And that's okay if they have words that they don't know already. Your child shouldn't freak out at them. You can just help them like, oh, there you go. That's what that says. Really, I've taught 3 kids how to read so far, and they have picked up sight words the best and the easiest by just reading real stories and seeing how the sight word "thee" is used in so many sentences. Like I'll read a sentence to them from a book, and then like they repeat it, and then they start learning. They'll just pick up sight words. So I did want to say, like, if you have a dyslexic or slower picking up to learn to read child, any program you use, you'll just have to slow it down and practice more. That's from my personal experience of doing the exact same lessons with each kid, but one picked it up faster and the other slower. So it's not you. It's just how each child will learn different. So it's not you. It may not be the curriculum. So it just is a little bit harder when you have to take more time and just keep repeating. Like this doesn't go with any flashcards, so you can make your own if you want. If you kind of use that. So here they're gonna do CK. My first Bible verse, God is true. They haven't learned true yet. But that's okay. They're excited. Find matching. Right. So we are going to get to, after they learn all the short vowel sounds, then they start to do blends. A and D as a blend. And as you can see, their stories are inside this book. So you don't need short other little stories. Here's the blends. GLGR. Here's some more blends. I will say that a con, I think, is the order in which they are teaching these blends. Because SK and MP, like, I'm just a person who likes order. As I realize things in an orderly fashion, you can learn them faster and easier. But sometimes curriculums. So you're doing ing blends. My first Bible verse, God is King. That's good. You can actually read that. Okay, so I'm filling the blank. How quickly can you read? Finish the story. So we're doing blends, and then we get with short vowel sounds. And then I will find. Okay, then we get to long vowels. And this is where this book threw me off with the long vowels, because the long vowels are in such a very odd order. Such a very odd order to me. So here is where I stop. And so that's when I go back to the letters and sounds, my first letters and sounds book, and we do the long vowel sounds through here. It's very orderly and nice. You have the long A with the silent E, and you get a Bible verse, and you trace the word with the sound you're learning in the Bible verse. Isn't that great? I really like how this is written. Part of me, I don't know if the same person didn't write the level 1 book, but I do like this. So then I go in the phonics, and I find where they're doing the A with the silent E. And we have a little story practice here. And little read the words. Since there's no stories or reading in this book, it just teaches the vowel. Then they have AI, and then I find AI in that book. And then we have the Bible verse. This one I tore out, but it was AY. So you're doing all the long A sounds together. Here's a little review of all of them. This is where Adventure in Phonics, that book, I'm doing level 1 with this one, really is easy to work with. Then you get to long vowel I, long vowel O. And the only thing that I thought was odd with the long vowel O is they go ahead and do the double O, which is actually the oo sound, zoo, spoon. So they teach it right after the O. Then they have the OA. And then they actually do get into the oi sound when they're talking about the O. I wouldn't do this review page altogether. I think that is too confusing. I'll just teach the O sound. And then I'll find it in here. I'll find the O sound. I guess I could have marked them. All right. A little cut and paste down there. There's a little cut and paste in the letter and sounds book. All right. Then after you have the long vowels in this book, then you do consonant blends. And the blending is going to be with either long or short vowel words, as opposed to the blending. And here you kind of learn blends before the long vowel. So if you want to do some more practice before you start getting into more complicated diagraphs, then this has some activities that you could do. So if you're learning GL, you're going to have a Bible verse. Like this one has glory in it. It's like you haven't learned the OR sound yet, or the Y sound, but it's in here. So sometimes there are odd words like that, but for learning, you don't have to like make sure that they can do it all by themselves. There are curriculums that have like only the words that you've ever learned, but sometimes if kids are like learning fast, they will pick up on these extra words by themselves earlier than when you get to teaching them. Okay, so then if you want to finish out the end of the book with these blends, really getting down these long vowels, at the very end you have the digraph blends of the SH, TH, which you can find the SH and TH in here. When we flip through, I will find it. You have some silent letters, the PH, KN, GN, and the qua sound. So since this is a kindergarten book, sometimes the activities are like color the kite blue and the grass green. If your kid wants to do it, then that's fine. But sometimes you have like a random easy page with a pretty hard reveal page. All right, and so then I pick up in here. After the long vowels are kind of over, then I go in here. Look, here's the SH. So they have a story in here, so you can find the story when you're learning the SH. Writing practice, match. This was the O sound, OA and OW reading. Interesting that these aren't perforated, but the kindergarten book is perforated, but that's fun. So the stories are one of the positive things that I like, because sometimes they are Bible stories and sometimes they're just kind of neat stories. Like, what did God make? I'm talking about making the grass on the third day. So they're not random stories that don't make sense. So this book gets into the C making the S sound. Sound recognitions. We have the sound, and then you're going to introduce there and where with the sound, and then they do the IR and UR sound along with it. So it starts getting a little bit more organized. You learn the sound, and then here's the AL sound. You do see the walls fall, Jericho. Okay, so now you're going to do the R sound, the AR sound. And typically when you learn the R sound, you learn the OR sound right after it. So that's organized. Here's a King Saul story, because you're learning the AW sound, AU and AW. So you get to learn contractions, and God made sound with that W. Then you have the OI sound. So as you can see, kind of about the same pattern, the ing ending, make, making, taking off the final E, if adding ing. So there, I do like it slowly, just kind of like Charlotte Mason style introduced. So here, when you're learning the EY makes the E sound, then they also kind of point out I don't think they're called sight words, but then they point out they, hey, and obey. So it's a good time to introduce that. So the EY is actually in the other book, but then you can do this practice. Like we've already done this practice since we've already done the long E sound. So I do think this is a good book, especially if you want Bible verses and Bible stories. You will be reading a good amount of words by the end of this book. The only thing here that should be different is there should be a W in front of this OR, because it says, they say or. We've seen these letters before. They say or like in more, but sometimes they have a different sound. They can also say as in work. They basically only say when it has the W there. WR says were. So they could put the W there. You can probably figure that out. So not a big deal. Whatever program you use, I definitely recommend getting a book for yourself on teaching reading, because it just helps you be a better teacher and not worry so much. All right, so this is the end. Here we have a story about Gideon. This is the end of the first level 1. So yeah, I think this is a great option if you're not into a lot of fluff, but you still want a Christian or Bible phonics curriculum. I think this will definitely work. And you can add whatever little workbooks for extra morning work practice that you want. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below, and I will also link the video I did about all of the learning to read programs that I've tried, and I will link that in the description box down below. And we will see how we're doing if I get volume 2. We are currently right here with this book, and we'll see if I get the God's Big Story level 1 for him to read the Bible on his own. Thanks for watching. Give me a like and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. I have a couple different grade levels, and it's fun teaching. And remember, it's always not about getting through the book, but how much content you are getting out of it. All right, see you next time. Check out my other videos.